Good morning, everyone. I know what y'all are all on mute, but I'm hearing cheering coming from all across the globe. So that's at least how I'm making it through here. We're gonna give everybody just a couple of minutes before we get started. Let everybody join. So enjoy a sip of coffee while we wait. Kurt, what are you drinking this morning?
What is it? It's a nice Unravel coffee. It's a local roaster here.
Nice.
Yeah, he does a nice Ethiopian. I love it. What are you drinking?
Yeah, Ethiopian Sidamo from a local roaster here in Tacoma.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll give it about one more minute and then we'll kick it off. Sun's starting to come up over here in the Pacific Northwest. Days are getting a little bit shorter.
Oh, our days are getting a lot shorter with the good old Rocky Mountains.
That's right.
We go from like sunset at 8 to sunset at 5 in a matter of a week.
Yeah, it seems, well, that's, yeah. I know it'll be 3:30 in the middle of winter when it's getting dark, so it's just great. It's great coffee weather. All right.
There's a bad coffee weather real quick.
No, well, there's never bad. It's just great and better, you know.
Oh, there you go.
All right, well, let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Expert episode 4, Approaching Service as a New Technician. My name's Kaleb Leach, and I'm going to be the moderator today. We're meeting with Benedict from Last Man LLC. We'll be discussing some basics on how to approach a service call. We'll do a short seminar outlining the process and then allow for 20 minutes of question and answers at the end. And we'll also provide listeners with contact info at the end if you have any further questions and comments to follow up later. These Ask the Expert series, they're for everyone. And our first 7 episodes will be webinars on equipment, basic theory, service and operation, and careers. Next week's episode is temperature in espresso machines. And we are committed to presenting these episodes throughout the year. So, you know, mark off your Friday calendars at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time so that we can make sure and get you in going forward. If you have any questions while we're presenting, go ahead and add them to the chat, and we'll get to them at the after the presentation. And with all that said, I'd like to introduce Kurt Benedict from Last Man LLC. Kurt, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Good morning, everyone. As Kaleb said, my name is Kurt Benedict, and I run and operate Last Man LLC out of Commerce City, Colorado. I'm specialized in coffee repair and services and sales of equipment. I've actually been in the industry for about 8 years. My company, I started my company and been running my own company for about 3 years now, but it's kind of a little more than that. So first of all, I just want to say, you know, if you're not part of the Coffee Technician Guild yet, please join. Please help encourage who we are and what we do to the rest of the world. I think it's highly important for everyone to understand. It's that we're not just somebody with a wrench. We're somebody that's been trained to work on their machine specifically. So please join the guild and keep it growing. So I'll give you a little bit about my background. Right now, I have kind of worked my way through quite a bit. I started in the industry as a light line auto mechanic, doing, you know, oil changes, belts, tires, brakes, different stuff like that. Worked my way into what was called a production technician, doing digital photo mini labs of all things. And that kind of worked me into a field service job that actually took me all over North America. I was doing these digital mini labs, and I'd travel probably 4 days out of the week for about 3 years doing that, maybe 4 years. And then they brought me in, and I was doing production lead, but I was also doing phone service support for all that time while I was doing that. So I got used to helping people over the phone. And then prototype tech, as it sounds, helped engineers build, appliance repair technician. So I was in homes. I did that for about 4 years, where I was actually going into customers' homes, doing service calls, doing repairs. But the biggest one, obviously, I'm a coffee tech. I love what I do. I love who I work for, customer base wise, and I love working with my customers. And don't take me, I know this is called Ask an Expert, but just take me as someone that can give you a lot of insight on commercial, residential, in shops, and even refurbishments. I added it up or I kind of did the math one time, and I bet you I have close to 12,000 service calls under my belt, so to speak, and I'm able to just share tons of experience. And that's the whole point of what my presentation is to give my experience to you guys so that you're able to actually go further and become maybe your own service company. So what is the main point of this? It's to think ahead. And why is it so important to think ahead? Because when you just go to a service call, you never just want to show up. Never, ever just show up. If you just go there, the biggest thing is you're going to set yourself up for failure. When you're going to these service calls, you need to be thinking ahead. You need to be making sure you know what's going on, and you need to be making sure you know everything about what's going on. It's a big, big deal, everyone. A lot of times, if you're just going to show up, you could probably just show up and just go, oh, I don't know. And that customer is never going to bring you back, and they're never going to recommend you to anyone else. So you got to remember, what you do from the moment a customer meets you is what they think of you. So don't just show up. And another point, the main point of this is to set yourself up for success. I'm just going to kind of give you the outlining basis of saying, look for these ideas and start prepping yourself as you go forward. When we talk about approaching a service call, you want to be able to look around, or you want to be able to look at your call that you take and know what steps you're going to go forward doing. If you're just getting your service call going, once again, setting yourself up for failure. So let's kind of talk about the different steps you should really be going through to set yourself up for this service call. So where does it all start? I'm going to say right now, it all starts with you, the technician. And by what I mean by that is, if you get a service call, it's going to be you approaching it. It's not going to be your dispatcher. It's not going to be your manager. It's not going to be your customer. It's you approaching the service call. So this is the whole point, is that you need to think about, one, do you know what equipment you're going to go work on? Are you going to go work on an espresso machine? Are you going to go work on a grinder? Are you going to go work on water filtration? If you're not thinking ahead on that, it's going to be very simple. How would you even know if you're trained on the equipment? So if you're looking at what equipment you're going to work on, and then you have to go, well, have I been trained on that equipment? So that's a huge thing, because if you haven't been trained on it, next thing you know, you're out there with your phone, you're pulling out your cell phone and you're going, well, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? The confidence of your customer goes way down quickly. If you're disappearing out to your service vehicle multiple times and you're not coming in with parts or tools or books, they're gonna, once again, their confidence in you goes down. So you want to make sure you're trained on your equipment. The next one, as I kind of said, the tools. Do you have the right tools? Do you have all your Allens? Do you have all your Torx? Do you have um, full sets of wrenches that will actually allow you to do the work? It's extremely important to think ahead and actually deal with all this. Uh, Another part is, do you have parts? Are they in your vehicle? Are they at your office or shop? Are they on order, or are they about to be ordered by the shop? Lots and lots of stuff to think about. So this is like, we haven't even gotten to depth on these items. We're just talking about the first initial parts of them. So let's just start with you, the technician. Are you clean? Do you have facial hair? If you do, are you trimmed up? Are you showering? Are you wearing deodorant? Are you practicing good hygiene for you, so you're not offending your customers and you're not offending your customers' customers? Because you got to remember, if one of your customers' say something bad about you, well, your customer is going to say something bad about you or think something bad about you. So you, as the technician, one, practice good hygiene. And it's a big, big thing. I know it really doesn't seem like much, but it is. Big one I've noticed, do you have a uniform? Do you have at least a standard? I mean, to put it how my guys are, we come in, they have t-shirts that they wear as undershirts. They're labeled. They have branding of Last Man on the front and back. They have button-down dress shirts that they wear, long sleeve and short sleeve, fully embroidered with their names on it. They have zip-up hoodies that have the logo on the back. They have jackets embroidered. The entire back is the logo with the info. What else? I mean, it's just, is there a standard of how you look? I mean, there's some simple stuff, like maybe pants colors doesn't need to be the same, but maybe you always want all your guys in khakis, or you always want to be in jeans or something. But if that's the case, just make sure it's your standard. You always want to keep that same appearance. So anytime you walk in or one of your guys walks in, you're just kind of going, the customer can go, oh, I recognize that uniform. I know who it is. They're allowed in. So make sure you're clean, make sure you have your uniform. And this is a weird one. And yes, I do mean to say, are you good at talking to people? So there's many parts of that. Are you able to communicate with your customers? And are you able to just, in general, just talk to them? I mean, it's always a good feeling when you actually show up and you have your new customers and you're just kind of going back and forth, chit-chatting about the weather, about the sporting event, about the coffee that you drink, or about the coffee they drink, or just find a commonality between you and your customer. So that's talking with them. But when it comes to the repair, you may be talking at them. And it's going to be, hey, I fixed this and it occurs because of maybe you're not cleaning your machine, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And that's where I say talking at them, because you got to make sure they understand what's going on. Doesn't mean you have to be rude, mean, condescending. You just need to tell them directly what happened and why it happened. And that way you can help them prevent the issue that's going on. When I walk into customers and I have issues, and I actually say, or, hey, your machine's not being cleaned. And they'll tell me, no, I'm cleaning. I have no problem right then and there stopping them and saying, no, you're not cleaning. And I will actually then, that's the talking at them. But then I will talk with them and say, hey, let me review cleaning procedures with you while I'm with you. And this is good practice. So it's just a big part of your daily efforts as the technician, talking with and talking at. And I know I'll get a little pushback on that phrase, and I'm sorry, guys, but that's the way I look at it. The biggest one is the, are you confident in yourself? If you go into your customer and they give you a, oh, I got no steam coming out of my machine, and you just kind of, well, let me think. I think it might be this. I think it might be that. And they don't see you test any possibilities of what could be causing it. They're not going to like that. So confidence is coming in with your tools, coming in knowing what you're doing, coming in telling your customer what you're doing, telling your customer what you found, and being knowledgeable and knowing that you can say, hey, I know this, trust me. So it's a big part of, as you, the technician, going to your call, be clean, be in your uniform, be ready to talk to with people, and be confident about yourself and what you're doing. You don't need to be mean. I highly, highly keep saying, don't be mean. Just be nice to people and be confident in what you're doing. Good old knowing the equipment. What's the call? When I talk about this, I'm referring to when it's not so much actually knowing the equipment isn't, are you trained? I mean, what's the call? By that, I mean, how are you receiving this service call? How is it that you're being told what the service call is? And this is actually a little more on the dispatcher side. So if you're not being told by your dispatcher or excuse me, or by your office, you need to actually just sit here and go, hey, everyone, I'm not getting, in the phone calls, I'm not getting what the machine is, what the problem is, or if there's special parking instructions. Make sure you just speak with your dispatchers. Make sure you go, hey, can you get this correct information for me the next go around? It really, really helps me when I have the correct information coming in. And it allows me to do a better job. And because then it just goes into more of what we're about to talk about, the parts and prepping yourself for that call. And so the proper ways to receive the calls are obviously phone calls. If it's just your dispatcher calls you, you write down your notes, okay? If they're emailing you, okay. Or actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is actually how the dispatcher, make sure the dispatcher has some way to receive their calls. Your calls, by email, by direct messaging. I actually get quite a few direct message through Instagram and Facebook just saying, hey, are you able to come out and work on my machine for me? And of course, yes, definitely. So make sure there's that open channel for the dispatcher to actually get the calls, get the information for you. And then it's make sure there's a way for the dispatchers to relay those calls to you or your techs. And I like to do more than one. I actually like to double it up. My techs typically get a work ticket and an email. So it's an email that might say, hey, here's an appointment at this time. And then the work ticket comes through a dispatch software. Now, I'm not going to promote one or any dispatch software. That is up to you to find the dispatch software that works for you. It can vary greatly. You can find a very simple dispatch software that allows you basically just to write a couple notes in it and then get a signature. or you can have software that allows you to take down or add in pictures of like pre and post repairs, and allows you to maybe even upload a video, or I can monitor, or I'm able to adjust my work tickets. So some work tickets are direct for one or customer, but different for another. That way I can have the techs collect different information going forward. But then also another part is, sorry, and then also you have the phone calls. So when a dispatcher calls and gives you phone, just over the phone verbally what the call is, make sure you're asking your questions. Make sure you're going, what's the piece of equipment? What is, if they have an idea, what is the age of the equipment? What is the issue? Is there any extra data you can tell me? Because sometimes you want to make sure you're getting maybe the problem coming forward and not the symptom of the problem. And as you grow as techs, you'll understand what I mean by that. It's sometimes we go in and we're only given a symptom and we have to go back for a problem, but that's another discussion for another one of these webinars, and we'll go through with that. But then
Hey, Kurt,
getting ready for your calls. Oh, what? Yes?
I just want to give you a little time check. I think we've got another 15 minutes before we start taking questions. So just wanted to let you know where we were. Carry on.
All right. When you're getting ready to become a service tech, or if you've been a service tech for a little bit, most of you will know that training is a huge part about what we do, or how we do what we do. There's multiple ways to get training, and my number one I always say is on the job training, OTJ. I personally, when I bring on a new tech, I'm training them for 90 days with me, and then they're still under my wing for another 9 months, where any questions they have comes directly to me. So I'm giving them a support structure. And this is a highly important part of what we do, is making sure you have your support structure. And that's part of the training. It's going, okay, I'm learning a piece of equipment, but I'm also learning that I have a coworker, a boss that is there to help me and I can rely on. So that's mainly the on-the-job one. Manufacturers teaching in the classroom. Unfortunately, with COVID, there's not a lot of manufacturer training going on right now. There's some here and there, but it's very small groups, so it's hard to get in. But a lot of the manufacturers do still have some kind of training, whether it's online or, like I said, in the classroom. So the big one right now, when I'm doing on it, is in my classroom with my team. We'll be doing stuff online to kind of go to people and say, or to my techs, we'll put them online and train on the different manufacturers. Once again, it's up to you guys to figure out what manufacturers you're working with. So just go online, find out. There's electrical training that some of the multimeter guys will give you. There's some training from brewer guys online. There's training, I think there's even a couple of espresso manufacturers that give some training online. And I am more than happy with my techs to share that in the classroom here. And I also have, once they do that, we'll rip apart a machine here. So if you do your online training, and let's just say you're a single guy working out of a garage, a shop, or so on, take that knowledge and right away go rip apart a machine, go rebuild that machine. That way you can take the time, not in a customer's area, but on your own, to prepare yourself on those pieces of equipment. I can't tell you how many machines I've ripped apart with no knowledge of them. And that was strictly to build my knowledge of them. And it's a good way to do it. It's hands-on. So it kind of goes with the classrooms are typically trying to be the audio, the overhead, or I'm sorry, the man or the individual speaking to you. The audio or the display up front is typically going to be for a visual learner. And then like me, I'm a kinesthetic. I have to be hands-on. If I can't put my hands in something, I don't learn. And this is where I like classroom trainings from manufacturer, from employer, or even just if you're doing your own classroom, quote unquote, by yourself, by taking apart that machine in your garage and gaining your knowledge. I already spoke about online, but yes, online is a great one. You take that information that you can find online and you grow your knowledge of that equipment. And then my favorite is actually books and magazines and anything you can just get your hands on and read. Online stuff, or more articles online, more books, more research studies. Just read, read, read. There's tons of knowledge out there. I mean, I think I can't tell you how many coffee books I've read, but it just helps, and it gives me knowledge to, as a tech. I didn't start as a barista. I just started as a tech. It gives me some extra knowledge where I can go back to the baristas and talk with my baristas. It goes back to the being able to communicate with the group. So just always remember, read, 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 read online, do classroom, whether it's, like I said, from a manufacturer, if you can get them. And some of them have it right now, some of them don't, but just check in, get on the wait list, so when they start training again, you can get it. And then if you're employed by someone, say, hey, where's our training from you? And just kind of see what help you can get from them. And this is all, the employer one builds your support structure too. And actually the manufacturer can help build your support structure. It gives you people to communicate when you're preparing to go into that service call. And so we've talked about you, the tech, we've talked about training. I'm just going to skim over tools, because what tools I like might not be the tools you like. And I've already kind of told everyone what tools I like on a previous article I put on the Tech Guild newsletter. And it just shows that we're all different, but the biggest part is, do you have the right tool or tools for the job? And by that, I mean, do you have, if you're going in to do a Marzocco heating element, and do you have I think it's a 40 or 42 millimeter, apologize, can't think off the top of my head, but do you actually have that wrench, socket, the specialty tool from them to undo that element? So you're not walking in with a big pair of mechanics channel locks. Make sure you have the right tool or tools for the job. And it goes back to your training. A lot of times in training, they say, hey, you need this tool to do this job. And they don't say it because they want you to buy the tool for them to make money. They make their money off the machines. They tell you, get that tool so you can do a proper job for your customers. But make sure you buy the one that works best for you. I'm personally, like, when I'm removing stuff, I have no problem using impacts. Some people don't like using impacts, but I don't reinstall with them. So I know what works for me, and I know where I will or will not cause any damage with the tools. So just always kind of look at that and go, what tool fits in my hand? What tool allows me to give the proper strength I need when I'm doing the job? And then what tool won't damage? That's another huge part of it. What tool will not damage when I'm using? So make sure you pick the correct tool that is for you. Interesting one is, make sure you clean your tools. It sounds strange to say it, but a lot of us have our tools and Some of us may not have, a lot, so we may use our espresso machine tools or coffee brewer tools to fix our service vehicle. Well, you don't want to walk into your customers and pull out a greasy wrench and put that into their gloss white machine. It's going to leave marks and gross. And plus their customers are going to be grossed out by it. So it's a big, big step. Make sure you clean your tools, everyone. I can't stress that. Here's one that I like to preach. There is a time and place for a cheap tool, but it's not your everyday use. When I know I need a big screwdriver or big wrench for 1 or 2 times. Okay. Sorry, I was reading the question. I will take that, or I'll go buy that cheap tool for a one-time use, because I know I'm gonna maybe mar the end up of it or bend it or maybe even break it. So if I'm buying a cheap tool and I'm breaking them every couple of days, well, I just bought a good quality tool. And then on. So it's just a good thing to buy your good quality tools. And then just remember, cheap tools, like a one-off, maybe you need to price something, or you're using it on something that's not going to matter, cool, but don't use them every day. It once again goes back to prepping yourself for that service call by having correct tools, having clean tools, having tools that work best for you, getting yourself ready to walk in there. And this is one of mine. I like keeping my bag minimalized. By minimalized, I mean I walk in with, I think, maybe 10 to 12 items in my bag. That way I am walking in with something small, something I can set on the counter and just get to work, instead of something that's in the way of baristas, disrupting their bar flow, not allowing them to do their job. So I like a minimalized bag with just the tools I use on a day-to-day basis. And I think I don't have to go out to my service vehicle, but maybe twice, maybe 3 times a week for a larger tool or a different tool. Most of the time I use just that small bag, and that's all I need. And kind of went after that already. Keep the larger, bulkier tools in your vehicle. Why bring them in? Why get in everybody's way? It doesn't help you, doesn't help them. So just keep those in. Pre-diagnosing. We're going to kind of go over this. So once you receive your dispatch, let's start thinking about the complaint. And I'm going to just sidetrack for just a second. It's going to be when a tech receives the dispatch, or you, the tech, receives the dispatch from the dispatcher. There has to be a very open line of communication there. So if you end up going to a call, then you have a wrong address. If you can't get a hold of your dispatcher and you didn't get a phone number for the client, then how are you going to find out where the correct address is? And I know some of you will say, oh, well, just get on your phone and Google it. Well, what if the business isn't registered yet? What if it's a brand new business? You're not going to be able to Google it yet. So you got to make sure there's this open line of communication between dispatcher and tech. And some of it actually is just that initial going to the call. And then you as the tech, if you need parts and you're not quite sure where to find them or get them, a lot of times dispatchers are there to help you find them. And I'm not saying that's maybe your business or way you run your business, but I'm saying there are a lot that do that. The dispatchers, I like them to be able to talk to the techs, and I like them to be able to be comfortable talking with each other. It just gives them a good way to go throughout the day. So it's not just, oh, so-and-so gave me this call, and then that puts the tech in a bad mood. It's, oh, hey, I got this call. Hey, thanks. I'm headed there. Um, so it's just a really, really good one. I like to have people talking in between each other. But I
Hey,
think,
Kurt, keep
yeah,
speaking of talking, we're starting to get some questions in, and probably want to give everybody at least like 20 minutes so we can have some back and forth and answers questions and stuff. So maybe another 5 minutes max, and then we can move on to questions.
okay. All right. I think I'm getting pretty close. So,
Okay.
um, it's basically, I'll get off that, and then, so pre-diagnosing, let's get that work ticket from your dispatcher, and you're just going to start using your knowledge from your training and from your coworkers to start thinking about that call. Oh, I'm going to cold shot, or I'm going to a no shot, or I'm going to not grinding. There's just tons of things. And then you can just start thinking about this and go, oh, okay, if I've got a grinder not working, what could be that issue? And then, oh, if I've got a no shot situation, what could be that issue? And you're relying on everyone. You're relying on your network that you created by training, by talking to your coworkers, by talking to your dispatchers to start thinking ahead. And you're also, when you think ahead, you're going to go, what parts do I need? What tools do I need? And this all becomes easier the more you've been on the road, the more you've been doing. And what this allows you to do is start hypothesizing, going, hey, what parts do I need to put in my car? What tools do I need to put in my car or bring in with me? That's what pre-diagnosing truly is. It's not so much, oh, I know for a fact it's this. It's, hey, I think it's this, so I'm going to come in with these tools and these parts and see if I'm right. That's truly what pre-diagnosing is, and I kind of have fun with it. And it's also good to call your coworkers if you're on the road, or get on CTG Slack. Hey, I got this, and blah blah blah. And we'll just we'll go for it. So, or think about it with each other. It's a big part, and that's the best thing. So just do that. Parts, I must be up a little bit, guys. Parts, what do you have on your vehicle? Make sure you're carrying your par list that you've set for yourself, or that your manager set for you, or that if you have commercial accounts, what the commercial accounts have set for you. Pretty important stuff. And it's, if you don't have the part, you're just going to end up costing yourself money. Simple as that. Make sure you have extra parts at the office, so that way you're not waiting on parts to be ordered. So it's basically, you run out of something on your vehicle, you go get it from your office, and then have the office reorder parts. So it's setting yourself up. Make sure you have parts. Make sure the parts are in your vehicle. Make sure they're at your office. And if not, you should have a common idea of how long does it take for these parts to arrive when ordered. Some of the big questions you need to know before you even go out to your calls: can you buy from a manufacturer direct? Can you buy from a local distributor? Oh, sorry. And then you just need to be able to give that information back to communication, give that information to your customer, and talk to them about that. So knowing your parts, knowing where your parts are, is a big part of running your service call. Vehicles, make sure your vehicle is reliable. And the big part of this is you don't want to be late to your appointment. You can lose that customer. You can lose running another service call. Typically, cost of repairs are higher than cost of maintaining, just by doing oil changes, brake pads, and whatever the auto manufacturer or auto mechanic says to you to do it. I mean, it's just like us. We're mechanics technically. If we tell a customer to do something, we expect them to do it. So if a mechanic tells you to do something, they expect you to do it. Um, and then the last one about being late because your vehicle isn't reliable, I hate, is you have to discount for your customer for the fact that you're late. Give them that 10% off, 50% off. So if you don't have a reliable vehicle, it could end up costing quite a bit more than that service call cost you. Building rapport, just make sure you can talk to your customers, with your customers, make sure that you're knowledgeable when you talk to them. Make sure you listen to them. And by listen, I actually mean, if they say, hey, my machine's broken, don't just say, okay, I got it, and walk away. If they tell you, hey, my machine's broken, but it only does something at this time of day or this weird, listen to them. It actually allows you to sit there and say, okay, well, I'm going to sit here for a bit, stressing the machine, trying to duplicate what the issue is. And all this kind of leads into just simply do what you said you would do. This is a service call. You're clean, you show up, you have parts, you have tools, you know how to talk to them, and you're simply going to do what you said you would do, and that's fix the machine. So
You know what I've heard, like Kurt, you say like kind of over and over again through this is communication, right? It's key to the business. And I heard it when you said wear a uniform. What are you communicating to the customer? That you're a professional there to do a job, you know, that you have announced yourself. You know, and it goes beyond that. You don't just walk around the bar and say, hey, I'm such and such, and I'm here to fix your machine. You get in line with customers and you come up to the register and say, hey, I'm here. I'm not here to surprise you. I'm here to help you. and even further, like in your coaching on cleaning, like how do you know, show me how you do it. And then go, okay, yeah, you're halfway there, but you're missing a couple of these steps. Let's help you kind of understand the rest of the cleaning cycle. You almost have it. And then, you know, dispatch, gosh, communication between your dispatch, communication between your customer. So if you didn't get everything you needed from dispatch, it never hurts to call the customer and ask them a few questions. You might even be able to solve it over the phone and save them some downtime. So I hear a lot of what I hear in your deck is communication is key here.
Yes.
So I think we're going to go ahead and, you know, reach into the chat here, see what we got. Oh, and Highland also pointed out we're going to have the this deck available afterwards for folks. So I think there were a couple more slides we didn't get to, but we can.
No, actually, we finished it up. Right, oh. You chimed in right on the very last part.
Nice, awesome, serendipity. Okay, so let's see. We had a question about dispatch. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, question 1. Can you speak to how important the communication between the tech and the dispatcher are? And what are some good ways to train to make it work?
Feedback. And what I mean by that is make sure if, let's say we're talking a larger organization, make sure your dispatchers are talking to your office manager about any issues that they're having with the technicians. Don't make them whine to each other or complain. Just let it be feedback to the management. Let the dispatchers openly tell managers, hey, I had this problem with this tech. And the techs, kind of the same thing. Most of us do some kind of tech meeting once a week or twice a week, whatever it is, and allow the techs to openly talk to a manager and say, hey, dispatcher was being a little aggressive. So that's one, just so the management can kind of get a hold of stuff. It needs to be an open two-way channel between techs and their managers, dispatchers and their managers, before you even go to let's train the techs and baristas, dispatchers to work with each other, because they need to have a open feeling with each other where they can talk. And if they can't, it's just going to be a whole different situation. Normally, if you don't have a tech talking with your dispatcher, it causes issues, and they'll call in and they'll say, oh, I only want to talk to this one. I only want to talk to this dispatcher. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way. So I actually just kind of encourage them to talk. But the big part is I just don't allow this favoritism. If a tech wants to talk to a certain dispatcher, too bad. You got to talk to the dispatcher you're talking to. And I know it's kind of rude, but at the same time, it is business still. We do have to abide by certain rules, is my opinion.
I would, you know, for me, I know that everybody that calls is in an emergency, right? They're having a bad day. It's
Yeah.
a reactive business we live in. And so the dispatcher ends up taking on a lot of that emotion. And what I always tried to help my dispatchers with was like, look, you can't take this personal. These folks are having a bad day and you're really here to help them. So just keep it in mind. They're not mad at you. They're mad at their situation.
Oh yeah.
And then,
Well, and that goes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's okay. Go ahead, Kurt.
I just kind of gonna go with the. You're talking about the abusiveness that people can get, and it's just you got to stay calm with it, and just remember, it's nothing to deal with. Or it's like you're saying, you can't let people bad day rub off on you, and you're just there to support them. And if you're saying thank you and how can I help you, it turns out 99% of the time you're going to be able to turn them around just by
Yeah.
being that good person and talking to them properly. If you're mean to them, they're just going to get even meaner to you. So
And you know, as far as like what you give to a technician, like a script for your dispatcher, like so you get the date, the time, the make, the model, the phone number, the email, the time that we're open, like all of the stuff you need to give off to a technician is super important.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's see here. Next question. What books would Kurt recommend?
um, well, most of the books I recommend aren't coffee related, but no, I just get on. What is it? I just buy. I've bought quite a few books off the SCA store. Oh, I'm getting into roasting information right now. Just starting on working on roasters and learning about that. So I've been buying SCA, just the foundations of roasting. Got that to start reading about that, and then I'll just. I don't really have any recommendations because I'm one of these people. I may read sections of a book and be very happy and not read a whole book when it comes to literature regarding equipment, about coffee, about something else. I'm very much, or apologize, let me think. I'm very ADD on this, where if it I lose attention on it, the book goes down. So it's got to be something that keeps my attention. So unfortunately, I don't have much else to say than check the SCA store. There's some great literature on there.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you know any espresso machine can provide below 4 grams a second flow rate? That's a tricky one.
Um, I off the top of my head, that's a curveball. I'm sorry, I just missed it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to take that one away. I don't know that I was ready to speak to detail that technical.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is supposed to be more of an intro.
Yeah, like if you want, you know, I think the importance of techs washing their hands after a service call, so that they don't go to their next service call with dirty hands, is kind of the topic that we were getting at here. Not that we shouldn't know the answer to that, but it's not right in front of me, so I have to do a little digging there.
Yeah.
All right, how do you train a tech to handle a rude or abusive customer? Good question.
There's not really a good way to train that. It's just so many. You actually have to deal with it. Unfortunately, it's just a lot of rude and abusive customers are angry and upset just because they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of under the philosophy, your bad day does not need to make me have a bad day. And I try and preach this to my techs. Just because the manager at whatever place or the owner of the place is rude doesn't mean you need to get rude back to them. Just, okay, kill them with kindness. And don't let them beat you up is the big thing. If they're going to be too rude, or if they're going to be, and I like the term abusive because it's just if they're getting too much in your face, I actually tell my techs pack up and leave. I will not deal with an abusive customer to my technicians. It's not a problem for me to say, I'm not going to deal with you. I've actually walked out of plenty of stores and said, I'm not dealing with you because you're in my face. You're trying to tell me this. You're trying to tell me that. And a couple people might laugh. You touch my tools, I'm going to get angry at that one. Never touch my tools. Or they might, I don't know. I've had them try and push me out of the way, and I'm going, okay, cool, I'm out. You either got to kill them with kindness or just leave them alone. That's the only way I can tell people to really deal with the rude, but the abusive, don't deal with the abusive. Just get out of there if it's abusive.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think I've mimicked that statement to technicians, but I think the root cause a lot of times is all the stuff we talked about before, right? So if a customer understands what to expect, as best as you can possibly provide that ahead of time, there's less opportunity for them to be upset about something. If they know how much it's going to cost before you get there, if they kind of understand what it's going to be like, they know when you're going to be there and you show up on time. I mean, there's a lot of things that a technician can do to mitigate that potential like angry customer ahead of time. And then there's just people that are not nice, and we have to walk away from that. That's not where we're at.
Yeah,
so there's a little bit, I think, for both sides to work on there. Let's see. Next, we got, what key tools would you recommend carrying in your minimal tool compressed toolkit? I know this will change depending on the job, but like, do you got a basic kit that you like to carry around or that you would recommend?
So I actually have a favorite set of pliers. I actually tell, and it's once again I go back to the article I wrote, and I showed them. They're called Knipex, Knipex, flat jaws. And what it is instead of opening like at an angle like this, they actually open and close straight on. So as you put pressure on the handle, they actually grip tighter. I buy them on Amazon. I think they're $60 for the pair, but they replace carrying anything from you can grab about a 4 millimeter bolt all the way up to about a 32 is the biggest I've gotten with I think they're 8-inch or 9-inch Knipex pliers. And so I'm eliminating all those wrenches in my bag just by having that one set of pliers. And I've never stripped a screw with those. Make sure you have good screwdrivers. And then, Allens. Make sure you have a real nice set of Allens, whether it's just bits with a handle, because you never know if you're going into a machine with Torx, or a machine that's metric, or a machine that's standard. Just make sure you have a great set of little Allens with a handle, so of some sort, just to make sure you can take care of all that. I personally carry a little Baco set that is Torx, Allens, and it's size 5 through 13 millimeter, and then it's just got the little itty bitty 3-inch long wrench for them. So that's one of my favorite.
Nice. What about the customer asking, how long will it take to fix before you even set your tools down? What's the best response?
Ask that again. I apologize.
No. When the customer says, how long will this take to fix before you even set your tools down? What's the best response?
It depends on the customer. It depends if it's a customer you can joke with.
Yeah.
I have customers that I know so well, I will actually joke with them and say, oh, I sprinkled fairy dust on it, I'm done, I'm leaving. Or I have customers that if I don't know them, I will actually just say, well, I get that you're in a rush, but give me the time to do what you asked me here to do. let me look at it and I'll let you know as soon as I know. Just keep calm with them and tell them exactly something like that. Just let me do what you asked me here to do.
Yeah, I think I always said, average is an hour, but I won't know until I actually look at the machine.
Well, and I don't even want to say that, because if it's something that takes 10 minutes to fix, then they're, what do you mean it was going to be an hour? And then so I don't even like saying an hour. I don't say any time. I say, just let me get in the machine, let me look at it, and let me just do what you asked me to do.
Yeah, not totally. Let's see, what about? Oh, uh-oh, I'm frozen. Monzi, can you hear me?
Hey, Caleb, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. You're here.
Looks like we lost Caleb. We have one last question.
He might come back.
Yeah, I'll help out here. Kurt, we have one last question. Let's see. What do you recommend to do at the moment some customer want you to repair a machine you've never seen before?
That actually, I would have to say, depends on you as the tech, your level. If you're a new tech and you know it, and you don't have any confidence in yourself, I would actually say, tell them, hey, I need to call on a senior tech for this job. I didn't get enough information from the dispatcher. Or even just say, hey, or if you're a single on your own, maybe actually go, I can work with you on this, but understand I've never seen this machine, because I do understand in remote locations that will happen. I traveled to quite a few remote locations, and a couple of them did hit me with machines I've never seen before, and I just had to sit there and go, okay, just bear with me, and I may, knock a little bit of time off if I have to sit there and think for a few minutes, but it's just know your limits as the tech and communicate. So
I have one last question myself. How do you train your techs to communicate to the customers when they don't have the right parts for the service?
Honestly, the big one is just, hey, I know it's unfortunate. Like me, my group, it's unfortunate we don't have the right part. If they're down, I tell them to call the office, because we have loaner machines. If it's an independent cafe, I say, hey, we have loaner machines if necessary. I've placed a couple loaner machines before. I've done brewers, grinders, espresso, whatever. But so it's mainly just making sure they know how to calm the customer. Hey, I don't have the part. I'm going to order it. And I actually tell them to give the customer the option. Do you want it ground shipped or do you want it overnighted? So then you put the control back into the customer of how soon that part gets there, which makes a lot of customers feel better. Because as soon as you don't have the part, the customer feels like everything's lost control. Give them it back by giving them the option of how the part arrives.
So we're going to be wrapping it up here. Do you have anything else you want to say before we finish up the presentation?
Thank you, everyone, for letting me rant.
It's very good. Next week's presentation will be Michael Tehan and espresso temperature. It'll be moderated by me, Highland Joseph. We've posted, if you have any further questions, I put my email on the chat. You can feel free to reach out to me. And we will post the PowerPoint. Kurt's really good PowerPoint on the Coffee Technicians blog on Monday with a copy of the video. Thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend. Monty, you can close it up.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye.